I'm helping move a historical sculpture from the location of Schenk's hotel to potentially the site of a museum. My name is Zac Max, or Zac Shavrick is my real name. I'm a metal sculptor. Well, I guess being in the sculpture and metalworking industry my whole life, I've restored a lot of sculptures and moved a ton of large, delicate sculptures that require, just the insight that I have from the industry. And doing this, you see this is a fairly delicate sculpture that kind of needs that kind of attention. So I think I'm just brought in by Marissa, who's known me from my sculpting career, and our mutual paths have crossed many a time. So I guess we just decided that it'd be a good fit for me to try and help get this from one place to another safely.
My name is Marisa Scheinfeld. I am a photographer, and I really consider myself a visual historian because my work is a lot about history and also what remains in the landscape. So we're standing right next to a sculpture, which is one of the remaining relics of the Borscht Belt era. That was really a tourism industry, but it was much more for American Jews from about the 1920s till the 1970s. It was made up of over 500 hotels, and Schenk's Paramount Hotel in South Fallsburg is one of them. And I've had my eye on this sculpture for since about 2011, when I created my first photo book, which was about this region. I realized that it had been one of the only sculptures I'd ever seen in my research on the hotels, and also that there was a need to preserve it. And in that sense, it was to take it away and repurpose it and give it a new home. So I called the camp, it's now an Orthodox camp, I called the owners and we had a really nice conversation. I kind of keyed them in about the history of the sculpture. They had thought that it was interesting and different, is what they told me. And after that conversation, I requested that if they were wanting to basically wreck it, which they were, to create something new, that they might consider donating it. And that's what they did. So it's going to be on its way to Ellenville, New York, later today. And it's going to be part of a visible effort to help create a museum in the region that is dedicated to commemorating and celebrating the Borscht Belt.
I'm a board member of the Catskill Resort Museum project, and the museum is dedicated to the Catskills, the Borscht Belt era, sort of this golden age of the Catskills. Hotels, bungalow colonies, stand-up comedy, entertainment. It's sort of a museum. The larger theme is sort of the American vacation, the notion of the American vacation and the role that the Catskills played in sort of the evolution of leisure in America. This piece, when we found out it was going to be destroyed, we moved really quickly. We feel like it would be an important part of the museum, certainly visually dazzling, but it's also, it speaks really volumes about, sort of that era and the kind of the aesthetics and the aspirations of the people who came up here in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's a very sort of sophisticated, kind of wacky, kind of modern expressionist design. And it sort of says a lot about the aesthetic aspirations of the people who came to spend their summers up here in the Catskills.